this world, there's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they don't love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, wonderful Sports Wednesday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Wednesday morning, the world of sports is alive. And we are going to get to all the big stories, including what could emerge as the single greatest postseason rotation in the history of Major League Baseball. I will tell everybody why the NFL offseason winner, the biggest one, might just be CBS, and why we may be a little bit closer, inching closer towards Steph Curry no longer being a Golden State Warrior. You will not believe what Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy had to say yesterday. I still can't believe it. I kind of want to lead the show with it. We have other things we have to do, though, so we'll get to Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors a little bit later in the program. Our bets for tonight will close the show as per usual in the power hour, in the final hour. And look, I told you yesterday, extended myself a little bit. Why did I do a 3-team parlay when I hit 2 of the 3? Lost 1 and lost the bet. Because I was feeling myself. And I warned you. Dodgers minus 1.5. They win by 1 in extras. I tried to tell you. Tigers got it done for us, but a losing night for your boy. We look back to get on the horse with a winning night tonight in Major League Baseball ahead of NFL preseason action coming up tomorrow. So that will come up at the end of the show. The phone number, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@thekostos, and you can follow me, your boy, Nick Kostos, on all social media platforms at the Kostos, TheKostos. But we officially begin the wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet with Minnesota Murray.
We did name Kyler Murray our starting quarterback. I think we've been really intentional, open about kind of the goal of creating just a competitive environment filled with wildly capable players that could then obviously elevate our quarterback room through that process, and in doing so, elevate our team.
That soundbite from Kevin O'Connell is hilarious. That's the head coach of the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, naming Kyler Murray the starting quarterback after yesterday's practice. And coincidentally, Kyler Murray, best practice in training camp as a Minnesota Viking. Maybe the expectation lifted off his shoulders, right? Now he gets to go out there and play freely. Now, if Kevin O'Connell were on, let's say, the Maury Povich show, and he had to take a lie detector test, Maury Povich would have said, as it concerns the quarterback competition with J.J. McCarthy, the lie detector determined, Kevin O'Connell, what you said was a lie. And then people in the crowd would be going nuts, hooting and hollering, absolutely loving it. Because look, I was right, and then I was wrong. And I was wrong because I was getting worried that my love for Minnesota and everything I was saying about the Vikings was going to go up in flames if for whatever reason J.J. McCarthy won the starting quarterback job. But as it turns out, I was right, and many other people besides for me were right as well, that this was never a real quarterback competition. That Kyler Murray was always going to be the starting quarterback of this team, and it was a fait accompli, and I don't even understand why we even went through this ridiculous process. Like, to get to not even the first preseason game, and Kyler Murray being named the starter shows you that this was not a legitimate competition. And I need to take a small L here on this, and I admit that, because a couple days ago, Monday, I was expressing concern about the way this was going. I gave you the quote from respected Vikings reporter, writer Judd Zolgad, who said that both guys had been really inconsistent and had fallen short of the standards met of an NFL starting quarterback, and that J.J. McCarthy had outplayed Kyler at a couple of recent practices, and I was concerned, because I want to be in on the Minnesota Vikings this year. As it turns out, I had no reason for concern. Kyler Murray named the starting quarterback in Minnesota. And I said it a number of months ago, even before the Cardinals released Kyler. Like, once it became obvious that Kyler Murray was not going to be on the Arizona Cardinals, and because Arizona's on the hook for Kyler's money this year, Kyler was going to sign for the minimum somewhere, in the same way Tua Tagovailoa did with the Atlanta Falcons. I said, while he was still on the Cardinals, like, he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Vikings. I said this way before he actually signed with Minnesota. And you can go back on my socials. You can go back in the You Bet archives. The day after they signed him, I came on this show and said the Minnesota Vikings will be a playoff team with Kyler Murray as the quarterback. So let's assess where we're at now with Minnesota in the betting market, now with Kyler officially being named the starting quarterback. At our show sponsor, BetMGM, the Vikings to make the playoffs, they are an underdog to make it. It's a really tough division, and we'll talk about the NFC North in totality in a little bit. Minnesota, yes, plus 150. So again, the betting market thinks Minnesota is unlikely to be one of the 7 playoff teams in the NFC. The win total is 8.5. It is worth noting, Minnesota's division price a couple days ago, plus 575. Not a huge move, but, worth talking about here if we're going to lead the show with the Vikings, now at plus 500. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the Minnesota Vikings headed into this season. And I'm not going to back off what I said while Kyler was still a member of the Arizona Cardinals. And I won't back off what I said the day after the Vikings signed Kyler Murray and what I said on this show. The Minnesota Vikings are making the playoffs this year. I have not yet decided if I'm going to take the Vikings to win the NFC North, but that is the direction that I am leaning in. Is Minnesota just outright to win one of the best divisions in football this season? Now, I always want to be honest with you, the audience, because I feel like this does not have to be just a sports radio thing or sports personality thing. I think this is kind of like a life thing. We are all of us, are biased towards certain things and certain people. All of us. And I feel like it's important to be honest and transparent about those biases, right? Especially for me, speaking to you, our audience here, so that I can hold myself accountable, and I have no problem doing that. And candidly, so you can hold me accountable. I'm not always right, and I don't run away by things that I get wrong. I own up to it immediately. And I think that you, the audience, know that that is true. So I need to be candid about this, right? Because I'm telling you I love the Minnesota Vikings. It's worth noting they are the longest shot to win the division. So the betting market thinks they're the least likely team to win the division. So why do I love them so much? I think that I have a couple really good reasons. I'll get to those in a second here. But I have to acknowledge, I am biased towards Kyler Murray. I loved Kyler Murray at Oklahoma. And I remember, because I'm a Giants fan, right? The Giants ended up picking 6th in that draft. The Cardinals picked 1st. That entire season, I'm tweeting on College Football Saturdays in 2018, I want my Giants to get Kyler Murray. I was dying for the Giants to be in a position to draft Kyler Murray. Of course, they end up taking Daniel Jones 6th overall. And what's funny is, and this is a sad thing to say, as someone who loves Kyler Murray and someone who loves the New York Football Giants, is it even a question that Daniel Jones has had the better NFL career than Kyler Murray? Like, that's fair to say, right? Daniel Jones has at least won a playoff game. Kyler Murray hasn't. 0-1 in the postseason for Kyler Murray. But I'm a Kyler Murray guy. Maybe it's because I'm short. And so is he. And he's a fellow short king. And I love video games also. So maybe that factors into my love for Kyler Murray. But I have been seduced over the years by Kyler's unbelievable athleticism that obviously led to him being drafted in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft. He's a stud freak athlete. One of the greatest high school quarterbacks of all time. Heisman Trophy winner at the collegiate level. Obviously has tremendous wheels, like uses his legs in tremendous fashion. Has a cannon for an arm despite his short stature. So I'm biased towards Kyler Murray, and I want to admit that. And that may be coloring, the color purple, shout out to the color purple, my analysis here. And I admit that. But with that being said, I believe that I am going to be right about all of this, despite my bias. Because not figuratively, literally, again, not figuratively, literally. This is the correct usage of the word literally. The only quarterback that Kevin O'Connell has had in Minnesota that he has failed with is J.J. McCarthy. Now, you could bring up Max Brosmer, like third stringer on the road at the Seattle Seahawks and that disaster. I don't know that counts. Like, I don't know if Bill Walsh could have designed a successful game plan for Max Brosmer on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. The only guy the KOC has failed with is J.J. McCarthy. And look, I'll be honest. I feel bad for J.J. McCarthy today on this Wednesday morning. I feel bad for 9. And if you had to ask the German rock group, Rammstein, hey guys, do you think that J.J. McCarthy could ever be a starting quarterback again in the National Football League? Can 9 ever be a starting quarterback? Do you know what they would say? 9. Which, of course, is German for no, in case you didn't know that. Just felt the need to explain that. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but there you go. J.J. McCarthy is probably done as an NFL starting quarterback. And I am far from the only person to speculate this. You know, Greg Rosenthal, friend of the show, who hosts NFL Daily, the podcast for NFL Media, has been saying for a while that he thinks J.J. McCarthy won't be a Viking come week 1. And we are starting to see that drumbeat get even louder, and it makes sense. Carson Wentz outplayed J.J. McCarthy last year for the Minnesota Vikings. And if you're going into the season, Kyler Murray is going to be your starter. Like, let's be honest and objective. You'd rather have Carson Wentz as the one play away guy than J.J. McCarthy. So J.J.'s going to be on another team. He's not going to be a Viking come week 1 against the Green Bay Packers Sunday, September 13th. Now, I don't want to speculate on where he's going to go. Does Jim Harbaugh take a shot on him? Obviously won a national championship together at Michigan. Is he a backup quarterback with the Chargers? But like, he going to be a backup, a 2 or a 3, a 2 at best this season for J.J. McCarthy. And I don't say that to pile on the young man, like to make fun of him. Just, this is a sports talk show. I'm talking about sports. I believe that to be true. And J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback that failed with Kevin O'Connell. The rest have succeeded to various degrees. And now we get Kyler Murray. And my question to everybody, and I've asked this question a few times over the course of this offseason. If J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer, a poo-poo platter of quarterbacks, emphasis on poo-poo, if they can go 9-8, and I actually want to address a piece of criticism that I got from, and I forget who it was on Twitter. I thought it was a decent point. In Week 18, the Vikings played a Packers team that was sitting everybody. And what happens if they lose that game and they're 8-9? Does this have quite the same shine to it, what I'm going to say, that they went 9-8? You can easily make the case that if they had a league average quarterback play, they would have been way better than that. So I just want to say that. The Vikings went 9-8 last year with J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer. Above 500 with those 3 quarterbacks. This would be like having an attractive woman as your girlfriend if as a man you look like the Bastion Booger. I mean, it's an incredible achievement by Minnesota. Now, Kyler Murray, despite the fact that I love Kyler Murray is not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Drake May. He is not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm never going to say otherwise. What I believe Kyler Murray is probably like league average. Maybe the 16th best quarterback in the NFL, who some weeks could be the 18th best, and some weeks could be like the third best. On average, he's not going to be as good as the top guys, and I'm not saying otherwise. I'm not trying to make that case. But my point is, if you take a league average quarterback with undeniable upside, because even if I like Kyler, even if you think he stinks, or you don't think he's very good, you have to acknowledge, because you're lying otherwise. Like, you're wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. You have to acknowledge that he has that upside, right? To be, on any given week, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You have to acknowledge that, or you're lying. So if you take the 16th best quarterback in the NFL, who some weeks could be the 7th best quarterback, and maybe sometimes he's the 23rd best quarterback in the NFL, right? And you drop him into this ecosystem with this coach on offense, Kevin O'Connell, and it's possible 365 days from now or less, we'll have a different conversation to be had about Kevin O'Connell. We'll see how this goes. I think it's going to go well. But you drop him into this ecosystem with KOC on offense and the guy that I believe to be the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, and Brian Flores on defense. You drop him into this ecosystem in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, two monster receivers, and obviously Jefferson in the conversation to be best receiver in the NFL. I'll throw out there for the fantasy football diehards like me, Ty Felton looking pretty good at Vikings camp after a lost rookie year. Just saying, with Jalen Naylor now in Las Vegas catching passes from Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. TJ Hawkinson's still there. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, maybe not the greatest backfield of all time. Mason more of a battering ram. But I will say, again, for the fantasy football diehards out there, I like Vikings rookie running back Damon Claiborne right a bit. And in your fantasy drafts, you do best ball, you do season long. I think Damon Claiborne needs to be at the end of your bench. I believe that. I think there's a world where he is the Vikings lead running back this season. What other national shows are going to give you Damon Claiborne? I'm just saying. So if you get average quarterback play in Minnesota with their weapons, an offensive line that I believe will be above average, Christian Darrisaw back healthy, and Brian Flores on defense. And I really like Caleb Banks, the rookie defensive tackle that they took 19th overall, represents a home run swing where if he hits, he's going to be a beast. Dallas Turner gives you something, rushing the passer with Jonathan Grenard now in Philadelphia. The upside case is there for the Minnesota Vikings. And ultimately, I like KOC. I love Brian Flores. And I love Kyler Murray. And when it's all said and done, and we get to the end of the season, I believe, skull, I'm doing the overhead clap for those of you listening on the radio, blow the Viking horn. We will be talking about the NFC North champion, Minnesota Vikings, led by my guy, Kyler Murray. We are just getting started here. Wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet. We got a lot to get to in the NFC North. A very, very newsy division right now. And on the other side, we will go to the team that won the division last year, the Chicago Bears, who just continue to get bad injury news as it concerns their defense, but got a surprise yesterday in a good way as it concerns the offense. We're talking Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and Detroit Lions. Oh my. Next on Westwood One Sports.
Kobe. I got to see him today. He had surgery on Friday, and looks like he's going to be more of a 4 to 6 month timeline. And so, he's going to be in a hurry to get back to help us out there at the end of the year.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bears head coach Ben Johnson with a little bit of Lumbergh energy there from Office Space. Gonna need you to go ahead and come in on Saturday. Gonna be in the 4 to 6 month range for Kobe Bryant. This segment on You Better You Bet, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Say hello to Lumbergh for me. If you've never seen Office Space, please watch it. Very, very underrated comedy from the late 1990s. So that's the voice of Bears head coach Ben Johnson. The news on Kobe Bryant, even worse than we thought. When he left practice a couple weeks ago, it was reported originally 8 to 10 weeks, which is really bad. Bryant coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, where he helped them win a Super Bowl championship, expected to anchor the back end of the Bears defense that lost Kevin Byard to the New England Patriots and Jaquan Brisker to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 8 to 10 weeks, not good, right? Takes you well into the regular season, but hey, at least he was going to be back. Now it feels like he might not be back at all. 4 to 6 months for Kobe Bryant, and Ben Johnson can say he'll be in a hurry to get back at the end of the year. There's no guarantee that he will be. And this Chicago Bears secondary right now, and I want to be careful because, yesterday when we were talking about the San Francisco 49ers briefly, right? I said, everyone's really concerned about the Niners and all their injuries. It's August 12th. Like Mike Evans returned to practice yesterday. Christian McCaffrey is going to be back at practice soon. The thought is Nick Bosa will be back at some point, although that's starting to get a little worrisome with the tendonitis in his knee, but the thought is that he'll be back. So it's August 12th. There's time for all of this to get figured out. But Kyler Gordon is on PUP for the Bears. Like 4 other members of their secondary are out and not practicing. And the Bears defense has the potential to be, I don't even want to say potential. I mean, I guess I will say potential because you never know. It feels like the very strong likelihood is that the Bears defense is going to be a gigantic issue this season. And could, not will, but could prevent the Bears from reaching their sky-high potential as a team this season. Because I think all of us believe the Bears offense is going to cook. Ben Johnson is amazing. And you have to be a fool to think otherwise. Like, if you believe that Ben Johnson is not that great or he's overrated, I'm sorry. You're hating. You're just wrong. Like, there's no argument to be had to the contrary. And I don't know if I want to say outright Caleb Williams is going to be in the MVP conversation for sure at the end of the year, but Caleb Williams is a really good quarterback. And I think Caleb Williams is going to smash this season. And Luther Burden should be back for week 1, and he's going to be a monster. And Colston Loveland's an absolute beast. His potential is to be the best tight end in the league this year. That could happen. Roma Dunze, and, that's the number 2 receiver, potentially the number 3 pass catcher behind the first 2 guys. Like, that's really good. And the Bears did get a nice piece of injury news yesterday, where this was a stunner. By the way, I just saw a tweet that Jermod McCoy, who the Raiders took in the 4th round at a Tennessee cornerback, Jermod McCoy, might play in the preseason this week. Might play in the Raiders' first preseason game. He went in the 4th round because people thought he might miss the entire year. So we're starting to get, crazy recoveries from injuries, which is awesome, right? Bears left tackle Ozzie Trapillo tore his patellar tendon in the playoffs. Thought is he's going to miss maybe the entire year. Braxton Jones is getting ready to start. Now Trapillo might be ready to play early in the year. What? And I'm not angry about it. I think that's great. But, if we're going to talk about the Bears offense, that's something that could absolutely help. So this offense is going to be really, really good. No doubt about it. Ben Johnson saying he wants it to be the highest scoring offense ever. It's important to have goals. And I don't say that sarcastically. But this defense is going to be an issue. Where is the pass rush coming from? Where is it coming from? Montez Sweat, in my estimation, is a fine, number 2 pass rusher. Or even if maybe you want to argue at his best, he can be a 1B if you've got a 1A. He's not a 1. He's not a 1A. And he's the best pass rusher on the team. The secondary is ravaged by injuries. And they lost to, and Deshaun Wright's now on the Jets. Not that he's, Darrell Revis or Darrell Green, but how's this going to look for Chicago this year? So I offer this as a backdrop, and I talk about Chicago after talking about the Vikings in the opening segment here on You Better You Bet on a Wednesday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports. Thanks for checking in. Because I, at this point in the offseason, have pretty firm takes on, let's call it 6 of the 8 divisions in the NFL. Maybe 5 of the 8, because I don't know yet who I'm going to pick to win the NFC South. I loved Atlanta prior to the Jalen Walker injury. I'm leaning towards just going Chiefs in the AFC West. The NFC North is utterly mystifying to me. It just is. Now, I love the Vikings. The Vikings are going to be my pick, at least to make the playoffs. So Minnesota is going to be one of my top 2 teams in the division. You can make an argument for the Lions to potentially finish first or second, the Packers and the Bears. You can make an argument for this division, any possible combination is within the realm. Like, you can't say that about the AFC East. With the Patriots and the Bills and then the Jets and the Dolphins. You can't make that claim. You can, and how many divisions can, I guess you could about the NFC South because they're all closely bunched together. The NFC North, any combination wouldn't be that surprising when it's all said and done. It's like, I was in on the Bears last year. I was early on the Bears. I had Chicago in the playoffs last year. I want to pick the Bears this year because I am obsessed with Ben Johnson. And Caleb Williams is amazing. I don't know if I can do it with this defense. I don't know if I can do it. Now, there's still time, but I don't know if I can do it. I've been thinking more about the Green Bay Packers. And while I believe that, especially while Micah Parsons is out, the star power is not necessarily there on defense. Look, how is Green Bay's offense not smashing this year? They smash every year. Matt LaFleur's back. Jordan Love's healthy. The offensive line, I think, at worst is going to be slightly above average. Tucker Kraft is great. Here's Christian Watson, and here's Jaden Reed. And Matthew Golden, I think, is going to have a big year after kind of a wasted rookie season last year for the first-round pick out of Texas. Green Bay's offense is going to score a lot of points, and Micah Parsons is going to be back by week 6. One of the best, 3 pass rushers in the league. And then there's the Lions, right? And if I'm going to love Chicago and, I'll take Ben Johnson over Dan Campbell and I'll take Caleb Williams over Jared Goff, but the Lions offense, it's going to be electric. Electric. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Sam Laporta. Goff is the trigger man. Their defense stinks, though. It stinks. Maybe it will be better when Brian Branch comes back, but it's not very good. So this is a mystifying division to me. Mystifying. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet. I'll have the Vikings as one of the top 2 teams and a playoff team. That I know for sure. And I do believe that the NFC North will send at least 2 teams to the postseason. Packers, Bears, Lions. Oh my. Which of the other 3 will it be? I'm being real with you. At the moment, I'm not sure. On the other side, I'm going to ask our friend Danny Parkins, first things first on Fox Sports 1, Chicago native, huge Bears fan, which team he likes in the NFC North, and we'll bat that around. Danny Parkins coming up next on You Better You Bet.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Speaking of our friends at BetMGM, today, BetMGM players will receive a WNBA odds boost token. Should have used it last night on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. To use the token, add a WNBA wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. You love when a plan comes together. Led the show with the NFC North. Kyler Murray, Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback. Talk about the terrible Kobe Bryant news that Ben Johnson broke yesterday, out 4 to 6 months. How about Ozzie Trapillo might be ready for the start of the season for the Bears, also just coming randomly out of nowhere. Joining us right now to talk the NFL, the NFC North. Perhaps we'll get into the NBA opening night schedule as well. Chicago native, Bears fan. First things first on Fox Sports 1, our pal Danny Parkins on Twitter at Danny Parkins. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back from your vacation. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you. Good to be back. Football season right around the corner, man. 4 weeks from today.
Oh, everyone get your vacations in and days off now while you can. Let's start with the Bears. It's Kobe Bryant out 4 to 6 months. Jaquan Brisker's a Steeler. Kevin Byard's a New England Patriot. You know I want to take the Bears to make the playoffs. I did last year. I'm struggling right now with what to do with the NFC North. Let's start with the Bears, and then we can talk about the division in its totality.
Listen, the Kobe Bryant news is really bad. It was their biggest free agent acquisition, and they were really counting on the first round pick of Dylan Thieneman and Kobe Bryant to be a significant upgrade. Even though, like you mentioned, Kevin Byard being gone, he led the league in interceptions. Now getting a little long in the tooth, and Nishan Wright was up there. That's 12 interceptions between Wright and Byard, who are not there anymore. And now you've got a rookie and a question mark at safety. I will say, in terms of positions to be injured at, I'll take safety. Jalen Johnson should be back. So, the return of a number one corner is massive. Kyler Gordon, though, still massive questions. That's their nickel corner. So, it's obviously not good that Kobe Bryant's out, but I'm not derailing the Bears yet. What I've said about the Bears is they are an obvious regression candidate. Ben Johnson has spoken to this.
I love that when he said that, by the way. I thought that was great. He's the best.
He's the best. So, and that's kind of where I'm going. Places where the Bears will regress. They will not have 7 fourth quarter comebacks. They will not lead the league in takeaways. And 4/5 of their offensive line last year, left guard to right tackle, all played over 90% of the snaps. They were remarkably healthy on the most injured position in football. All 3 of those things will regress. But Caleb Williams, year 2 with Ben Johnson. Luther Burden, year 2 with Ben Johnson. Roma Dunze, year 2 with Ben Johnson. Colston Loveland, year 2 with Ben Johnson. They should be a top 10, borderline top 5 offense. And if you have a great offense, you can cover for some of that, because that's not – the Bears were a great fourth quarter offense. They were 6th in total yards by the end of the year, but they were not a great scoring EPA offense last year. So if they really improve in that area, that covers up, I think, some of those other places of obvious regression.
Yeah, I love Ben Johnson, and I think this offense, you said top 10, and that's really fair. I actually think if the Bears were the 9th best offense this year in the NFL, would that be a disappointment to you? I think it actually would be for me. I'm expecting better than that.
Yeah, I'm expecting better than it too, but I'm trying to be fair. I certainly don't want to be a homer, but I've thought about this a lot. Jacksonville thinks they can be the best offense in football. The Bengals think they can be the best offense in football. The Rams think they can be the best offense in football. The Cowboys think they can be the best offense in football. Why wouldn't Seattle think that they could be the best offense in football? The Bears think they could be the best offense in football. The Lions think they could be the best offense in football. The Packers probably think they could be the best offense. I just named 8 teams. Someone's going to surprise you. I haven't mentioned the Patriots. I haven't mentioned what other teams. I haven't mentioned the Bills, who definitely think that they can be a top 5 offense.
Baltimore.
In football. I don't think Baltimore can be a top 5 offense, actually, but we could get into it if you want. But like,
you got your guy, you got the Ben Johnson disciple there running the show now.
No question. Year one, I think Ben Johnson might be the genius. I'm not sure that he's going to have his own coaching tree, like Sean McVay. I think he might be like offensive Bill Belichick in some ways because he's just such a one-on-one psycho, and I mean that as a huge compliment, and he knows that. But I think that there's a lot of offenses that think that they can be top 5, and not everyone can be top 5.
If I asked you right now, it's August 12th, pencil, not pen. Give me the finishing order of the NFC North. What would you say? It's really hard.
Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers.
Why Green Bay? And again, this is not me disagreeing. That might be similar to what I have when it's all said and done. Why Green Bay last?
Micah being out 5 to 6 weeks is massive. That's just massive. We saw what they were last year defensively with him versus without him. So, like, that's an offense that needs to hit the ground running week 1 and needs to be great to cover it. Now, their schedule early is not terribly difficult. I think they play one playoff team in the first 5 weeks and one top 10 defense in the first 5 weeks. So their early schedule isn't terribly challenging, given that they probably are going to need to score 28 plus per game right out of the chute. But I think this is a division where 9 wins could be last place. And to be clear, Jordan Love could win MVP and they could win 13 games. Like, the Packers are good. There's obviously a version of Green Bay where things click immediately offensively. Micah comes back, they're being conservative, and he's 100%, and they're off and running, and they're one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. But the biggest injury right now in the division is to the best defensive player in the division, and they just weren't good without him last year. So as of this moment, I'm putting them last.
What is your pessimism or cause for concern in the Baltimore Ravens offense this year with Declan Doyle now running the show for Lamar Jackson and company?
So, obviously they lose Linderbaum, one of the best centers in football. They lose Isaiah Likely, who, while never terribly productive, I do think is wildly talented. I think Zay Flowers is good but not great. Derrick Henry is a cyborg, but at some point, age is going to come and get you. Relying significantly on a first-round pick out of Penn State to start immediately on the offensive line. And Lamar was hurt last year pretty consistently. Like, I thought when CBS did their rankings of quarterback supporting cast, running back, pass catchers, offensive line, and play caller, they gave every new play caller just a league average grade. They didn't grade up or down. The Ravens finished 22nd in the NFL. Like, Lamar's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting on that offense. And obviously he's good enough. He's one of the scariest, if not the scariest players in the NFL. I think the Ravens' success this year is tied to, can they have a top 5 defense? And with Minter and all of that talent, I definitely think they can. Like, he overachieved with okay talent in LA. Now he has blue chip talent in Baltimore. Like, I definitely think there's a world where the Ravens have a top 3 defense this year, and that would be the best thing that helps Lamar. But I don't love the supporting cast on offense around Lamar Jackson.
I'll tell you, have you been seeing the Jacoby Lane hype?
Of course.
I'm not saying he's Jerry Rice, but there's a lot of, like, you watch
a lot of Jacoby Lane hype.
Right, you watch these training camp practices, it looks unbelievable.
He does look unbelievable. A lot of teams have guys who look good in camp. Like, can I see Jacoby Lane have 6 catches for 90 yards in a preseason game before I go insane about Jacoby Lane, please? Is that okay?
It is okay. Although I will say I am excited to draft him at the end of fantasy football drafts coming up in a couple weeks. You bet here on this Wednesday.
Totally reasonable.
Our friend Danny Parkins on the show. I would love, my friend, if we could roll around in the take mud a little bit. You ready to do that with me?
Love the take mud.
Yeah, oink oink, baby. Give me something to take that you are either percolating on or something that you feel very confident in that some might call hot ahead of the start of the NFL season. Because I have one I'm going to lay on you that I think you're going to like a lot.
All right. Is Jackson Dart the forgotten young star quarterback. Like Jackson Dart last year starts week 4 on, misses the 2 games for the concussion. And the narrative about him is, well, he was checked for a concussion 5 times. He's crazy. He's reckless. Okay. Not saying it's not a story, but he has said he's going to protect himself more. I think we're maybe downgrading him a bit for recklessness and overlooking the dude had 24 touchdowns against 7 picks when his head coach and play caller got fired in week 10. He played exactly 0 full games with Malik Neighbors. He played 4 games with Cam Scattaboo. So it's upgrade at coaching, upgrade at number 1 receiver, upgrade at running back. They return 4/5 of their offensive line and add a top 10 pick. Like, dude was a playmaker. He had multiple touchdowns in 10 out of 12 games last year. I think he's a playmaker with a big arm who's mobile, who's productive in a horrible situation. Now, some of it was garbage time in terms of production, no doubt. But I think there's things to like about Jackson Dart. And I think he's been overlooked and maligned for an easy narrative for us to glam onto. And I think that story is like a misdemeanor and not a felony. That's where I'm at.
And if you bring up Jackson Dart here locally, a lot of politically charged conversation around Jackson Dart as well after some of the stuff that went on, which obviously does not really matter when we get on the field.
I don't agree with what Jackson Dart, like, whatever, but like
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I certainly am not going to let that cloud my opinion on like whether, like, if I only praised athletes who politically I agreed with, it'd be a fairly narrow cast. So like I in terms of if he's a good football player or not, I don't care about that at all.
All right, so my take that I'm really excited to lay on you here has something to do with what you just said. I think the New York Giants, I might do it. I think they're going to beat Dallas in week 1 on Sunday Night Football. And then I think they're going to go to LA on Monday Night Football in week 2 and beat the Rams and start 2-0. How about that?
Why do you think that?
So if it let's take
that is a hot take.
Where get the hazmat suit. It was radioactive. Okay. So let's take what you just said about Dart. Let's assume it's true. I think it might be. Now, let's look at Dallas and the Rams, right? Where I think it's fair to say if you're going to poke holes in Dallas's offense, it's an offensive. I'm actually worried about their tackles and pass protection this year. They have an open competition. Tyler Guyton's going to win, but it's not good that they have a competition, right? Right tackle Terrence Steele is not a good pass protector. Why can't the Giants get after Dak Prescott in week 1? At home as a dog in primetime. Week 2, Adam Schefter yesterday said Alaric Jackson might get suspended for early in the season. Even if he doesn't, I don't think he's very good at left tackle. Warren McClendon, the right tackle, is completely unproven. Matthew Stafford's a statue. Why can't the Giants get after that ass in both those games early in the season? And Jackson Dart's good.
Yeah, I think that the Giants need to have a great defense. They've invested a lot on that side of the ball. I just think, like, a bad tackle or two definitely is not a good thing when facing a potentially great pass rush. But I would argue that Dak Prescott and Matt Stafford might be the worst types of quarterbacks to play in that spot. Like, sure, you'd say, well, why not just a really mobile guy who can escape? It's like, I don't know. I would take the 2 of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL with the most experience in the NFL, with great offensive coaching and great playmakers. Like, you can scheme around a great pass rush if you snap and throw. So picking both upsets against 2 top 10, clearly top 8, I would say clearly, like two top flight offenses and 2 top flight quarterbacks. That is a scorching hot take, my friend. Scorching.
Oink, oink.
Yeah.
Next time we have you on the show, can we do some week 1 early thoughts on bets?
Listen, I thought you'd never ask.
Do you want to do something? Do you have like 10 seconds? An early week 1 thought?
if the Bears don't blow out the Panthers, I'm not coming on the air Monday, dude. That is such a stressful opener. That is such a stressful opener, bro. Like, so, like, I'm going to lay the wood just for maximum pain.
You're the best, buddy. Have a great show today. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right.
Our friend Danny Parkins joining us here on You Better You Bet. Hour 1 done, hour 2 for you coming up on the other side. We will start hour number 2 talking with good friend of the show, the great Dave Damashek.
Kostis are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
This is Bob Kostos, not Kostos, but you are listening to Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening as you do every day to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. Oh, it's football season, baby. First hour of the show devoted to the National Football League. The Minnesota Vikings officially named Kyler Murray their starting quarterback, and I officially am picking and betting Minnesota to make the playoffs this season. That's right. If you can go 9-8 with J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer, surely you can do better with Kyler Murray as your starting quarterback. I am going to be in on the Minnesota Vikings this year. I also told you why. The rest of the NFC North utterly mystifies me. It does. You can make the case, now I'm going to pick Minnesota, but you can make the case that this division ends in any potential combination. The Packers could come in first, they could come in last. Same for the Bears, same for the Lions. And even though I love Minnesota, what if Caleb Banks is a bust? What if Kyler struggles? I'm acknowledging that that's possible, even if I don't think it'll happen. This is a topsy-turvy division that I think will send at least two teams to the playoffs, and trying to figure out who those two teams are, I think will inform a lot of decisions on who potentially wins the NFC this season. And enjoyed our weekly conversation with Danny Parkins, First Things First on Fox Sports 1. Danny thinks the Bears should blow out the Panthers in week 1. That will be an interesting game from a betting perspective. Chicago, a juice 2.5-point road favorite. I have the sense, and this doesn't mean that the Bears can't or won't win and cover, that this will be a game where I would anticipate the betting public will be on Chicago and pros may be on the Carolina Panthers, especially at 3. But we still have a month before Sunday, September 13th, the NFL opening Sunday of the regular season. Coming up later this hour, we will get to Major League Baseball and potentially the greatest postseason rotation in the history of MLB. And I'll explain to everybody why the biggest winner of this NFL offseason might just be CBS. But joining us right now to kick off hour number 2, one of our absolute favorites here on the show. And it's early right now for him because he's on the West Coast. Some say the best coast. They're wrong because I'm from the East Coast here in New York. He is the host of the critically acclaimed show, Football America, as part of the Meadowlark Media network of shows. You know him. You love him. And he looks pretty handsome today, I have to say. Our buddy Dave Damashek on Twitter, @Damashek. What's going on, buddy? Happy football season.
Listen, look, I'm taking my hat off because it's clear to me that you've conceded the hair game to a man whose hair has gotten more salt than pepper at this point. Look at you. Is that the summer cut? Is that what you did to yourself? Shaved your hair nice and fresh?
You know what? Like sometimes this will just show how large my ego is and how vast my grandiosity is and how I need to talk to a therapist. You know, David Beckham sometimes buzzes all his hair off. When you've got great hair, sometimes you get bored of it and you need to buzz it. Also, David Beckham's way better looking, taller, and way richer than me. But just saying, that's what I like to tell myself when I look in the mirror.
Yeah, the handsome devils do that. They like to show the world I look good with any hairstyle, because what matters most isn't the frame, it's the masterpiece that it's surrounding. Listen, I heard what you were saying about the NFC North, and I completely agree with you. And by the way, forgive me for this lousy audio setup. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. Nah, I'm a dipshit. I can't figure out how to make anything work.
All right, listen. I'll just say this. Laura, please dump that. Please, no cursing on the show. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing a G-rated show.
You're good. We'll be G-rated from this point on. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yes, that's you have my promise that will be the case.
Thank you.
I I completely agree with what you said about the stacking order, and like we've talked about over the years, we're in the sweet spot right now. Really, from the time free agency and the draft ends until the regular season kicks off. So it's an extended stretch of time in which everyone's glass tends to run half full rather than half empty. It's way easier to make a case for why a team has a shot at getting into the postseason than those teams that definitely, absolutely, positively, no matter what, will definitely not make the playoffs. It's very hard to identify the definite have-nots. And man, that NFC North, I am with you completely. I know some people are a little down on the Vikes or not seeing it as much. It sounds to me like you're turning the same corner that I've turned over the last month or two here. I mean, I absolutely can see any of those teams taking a run at winning the division this year.
So if I made you pick one, it sounds like you're high on the Vikings also. Who would you take right now to win the NFC North? Which I, again, believe, because look, you could say the AFC West, but the Raiders are going to bring up the rear in all likelihood, right? You could say the NFC South because of the margins that separate those teams, but we don't look at any of those teams as true bona fide contenders. I think this is the hardest division to handicap heading into the year. If I made you pick the winner right now, who are you taking and why?
I'm not just saying this for the hot take element of it. I am going to take the Vikings. And for the reasons that you were just talking about 5 minutes ago. And, you know, the Lions are an interesting case to sort of look at and recognize about. We talk about the window that is open in our various leagues and specifically in the NFL. It can be a 1 year thing. It can be a few year thing. It does seem more and more sort of like I forecasted, and a lot of people thought the straw stirring the drink a couple of years ago in Detroit was Ben Johnson. And now you rob Peter to pay Paul to boost the Bears, and the Lions are, it feels like, you know, we can make excuses about injuries and otherwise, but it really does feel like while they've remained relevant, they haven't bottomed out. It does feel like the gentle decline into mediocrity is well underway. So they're out. Then Caleb Williams, with this Ben Johnson, is the offense going to soar? Maybe. And then, the Packers, I think that they are, speaking of the window and how the football gods sometimes frown on you when your window would appear to be open. I think we all have amnesia about where the Packers were right when Micah Parsons got hurt. Had he not been hurt, they were premised last year around one player on defense. When he went down, there went their chances of a Super Bowl run. I suspect had he stayed healthy, I think they would have been a bigger factor, and we would be talking about a different Super Bowl champion than we are right now.
Wow, do you think? Wow, okay, it's certainly possible. And Parsons got hurt against the Denver Broncos at the end of the year. So, do you agree with my assessment? So we both like Minnesota, that the NFC North sends multiple teams to the playoffs. And if the answer to that question is yes, outside of the Vikings, which is the other team or teams that you think makes it out of the NFC?
I just talked name drop in football circles. Mina Kimes, I just talked to her, and she said that she has Jordan Love over Caleb Williams, which maybe is borderline hot take. I don't think it is coming.
I think they're both awesome. They're both really good.
I guess that's the bottom line. I'll ride with the Bears in year two. I think they should be with where they stand right now and the imperfect Caleb Williams, the idea that he is going to resolve his accuracy issues notwithstanding. I love the fact like Josh Allen did it. But you understand that Josh Allen and Caleb Williams aren't the same person. So just because something worked for Josh Allen doesn't mean that Caleb Williams is about to undergo the same historic turnaround in terms of his accuracy. So I think there's a ceiling on where he goes. But I do think overall with Ben Johnson, keep in mind, KOC had his big miss with Trey Lance. And Kyle Shanahan had his big miss with Trey Lance. And KOC had his big miss with J.J. McCarthy. But these QB whisperers know how to identify the guy they want to work with. Ben Johnson, on purpose, had a number of options, said, that's the guy I want to be with. He sees something in Caleb Johnson and the equation that exists in Chicago. I think that the Bears stay relevant enough that they make it to January again.
Yeah, I love that Bears offense, even if I am very, very concerned, Dave, about this Bears defense.
Yep.
when we look at the NFC landscape outside of the NFC North, any surprises for you as it concerns the playoffs this season?
I do think that I think that this collective thing that we signed off on somewhere last season, the slow burn of Matthew Stafford's Rams, and that the whole thing is built around this guy who's got a bad back. And remember, a year ago at this time, we didn't know for sure that he was definitely going to be ready to roll in the regular season. And that tempered the way we talked about the Rams. And then he made it all the way through the season. He won the MVP, and you thought, man, a play here, a play there, they could have been in the Super Bowl. And then they get Myles Garrett, and now we think Aaron Donald is almost certainly on the way. I don't think Les Snead and Sean McVay are talking about Aaron Donald coming back if he's not coming back. So now you have, what stands as, I mean, look at that defensive front that they have a chance to throw out there. I mean, it is rare that you would have these, not just Hall of Fame guys, but Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald. But there's a lot of sort of glass half full logic being applied to the Rams. That's the surprise to me, that everybody's just all in on them. Aaron Donald, it's not a small matter. He hasn't played in a couple of years. I mean, that's not nothing. Myles Garrett already with a swollen knee, and Matthew Stafford still has a bad back. And now Puka Nacua with so much of Sean McVay can make everything work. And we're assuming that that's the case. But for real, I have the Jenga theory that if the wrong piece gets removed, the whole thing's going to implode. Where is that truer than with the Rams and Puka Nacua? What if he went away? I mean, Devontae Adams ain't Devontae Adams anymore. And then after that, really, what are you talking about?
Could you say that about Devontae also? And not to the same degree as Puka, but I guess the point I'm making is I'm with you here. Look, the Rams defense is going to be amazing. I have way more questions about this Rams offense. It's very flimsy. They have no speed, and maybe they just mitigate that by using a million tight ends. But look, if you take Devontae out of the equation, Puka's the best player on offense besides for Stafford. But who's the second pass catcher then? Terrence Ferguson? Like C.J. Daniels? Kanata Mumfield? Like, what are we talking about here? Hakuna Matata?
And you can do, it is the most fun name to say no matter what. Problematic though he may be off the field with the biting and everything else, but you can't beat Puka Nacua. It's terrific. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to say. And there's a lot of the warts. Yeah, man. And also, Sean McVay has a habit of sort of being the rabbit in terms of what he wants to do offensively for the rest of the league. Obviously, he and Shanny probably dictate more than any other coaches out there what the rest of the league is going to start trying to copycat over the coming months and years. And so going heavy and with multiple tight ends, now everybody or a lot of teams are going to start to adopt that. I do wonder if McVay has some sort of plot to deviate from that and go on to the next thing. But as it stands, you're absolutely right. The surprise to me is, and obviously you have Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald. That's going to be hard if they're both healthy and anywhere close to their respective top form. The surprise to me is that everybody is in on the Rams. The defending Super Bowl champs are in their division. I think it's wild that they have longer odds than the Rams do to get back to the Super Bowl. But either way, those are probably your two best teams in the entire conference as I see it.
Dave Damashek, Football America on the show. You Better You Bet on a Wednesday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM. Mr. Damashek, if I made you pick right now, and it's August 12th, you reserve the right to change your mind, who will represent the American Football Conference in Super Bowl 61?
All right. I have it down to, and of course, this is all in pencil. Don't try to take me.
I'm not. I said it's August 12th. I literally gave you that cushion in the question. I said it's August 12th.
I heard what you said. I'm just clarifying. I don't
want to. If you heard what I said, then it does not require clarification. I clarified. Well, I did the clarifying.
Guess what? I just did it, and there's no way to undo the last 13 seconds of either of our lives. So it's done.
We did use the dump button to clear your cursor earlier, so we could potentially dump the audio. I'm just saying we could clarify that. Go on with your answer.
I just, you know what? I can't get over. I get look how nice you are. You're nice and a little bit red, but you're more bronzy. I look so pale out here in LA.
You'll live in Los Angeles. Like, get outside and touch some grass. Like, go in the sun, buddy.
I know I look like death. I'm sorry. This is what happens to somebody who watches too much Pittsburgh Pirates baseball. I really thought this was going to be the year.
Great start. Can I ask you something? Just like give me as I want to get back to the NFL here. Is Paul Skeens about to undergo Tommy John surgery or something? Like average fastball velocity 95, like only 5. Like is he hurt? Like what's going on here with Paul Skeens?
I think he's one of these guys who is wired to never, unless an injury is so severe that it forces the team to shut him down and go under the knife or whatever else. I think he's one of these cats who just would never concede. He's not 100% and is going to power through it. And I think we're going to find out when the season ends that, as it turns out, he had something lingering all through the season, because for all we don't have to talk about the Pirates, but they really between the bullpen and the severity of the injuries to the lineup and all of that. If Paul Skeens were pitching like Paul Skeens of 2025, they would be firmly in a wild card spot right now. So it's a huge bummer. But anyway, I mean, obviously I'm going to roll here with the Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers. No.
Oh, stop it.
I do like the teams. The team that I said 6 weeks ago is the LA Chargers. And I understand Jesse Minter isn't there anymore, and I think that's the biggest knock against them at this point. And then the rhetoric that people have gone with for at least a year now is with those two tackles, if they are healthy on the offensive line, and given the way Jim Harbaugh and now Mike McDaniel want to do things, it does make sense that the Chargers should be a factor this year. And I don't think we're talking enough about the Chiefs not being exactly the Chiefs. I think everybody feels like, well, we just redshirt last year for KC. I think it's a new reality to them. I don't think they fall off the table, but I don't think they're as prominent in that division. I think it's the Chargers and the Broncos fighting it out for the top spot there. And then the other one is the flawed as they are. I really like Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I can't get with you on Cincinnati. Well, I think a lot of people like the Bengals. My concern, Dave, is I know Dexter Lawrence is there and Boye Maffe's there and the secondary should be better. I don't trust Zach Taylor. I definitely don't trust Al Golden. And I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it with this Bengals defense. I have them outside of the playoffs right now, and the Ravens winning the AFC North. I think the AFC North is only going to send one team to the playoffs, and I think it's going to be Baltimore.
I'm with you in broad strokes, and people struggle with this because of the ongoing amnesia that plagues football fans, is that they just can't seem to negotiate their way around the idea that not just 2 teams from the same division, but 3 teams from the same division regularly make the playoffs. That's the way things flow in the NFL this millennium, is that you get multiple teams. A heavyweight division sends a bunch of teams to it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you get Baltimore and Cincy there. But yeah, I'm trying to work my way around exactly that. The weird division too is the AFC South, because I can make a real strong case. In fact, I just had on another name drop, Nate Tice, who I thought I was hip on the Houston Texans. In the last month,
I have them going to the Super Bowl.
Well, there you go. See, you and Nate Tice park your cars in the same garage, and I'm maybe on that road driving towards your neighborhood as well as we speak here, because really it has everything to do with CJ Stroud. And again, amnesia and all of that. And what have you done for me lately? What CJ Stroud did lately for people watching football was make them sick. They thought, what happened to this guy? Wasn't CJ Stroud was one of the guys, and all of a sudden he can't throw a forward pass anymore. If that gets resolved, that team's loaded up, man. That defense obviously is mighty. And I do think they've addressed their flaws offensively. If they can run the ball at all, the Texans are a factor. But on the other side of things, the Jaguars should be real good too once again. And I think they're under the radar because of what we saw from them. I think our thought process the last 6 months around the Jags has been same old Jacksonville. You saw what happened. They got to the playoffs, home game, and Josh Allen took them out in a big spot. What else is new with that team? I think that's our sort of way we regard them. But I think the Jags are a legit factor in the AFC too.
My last thing for you here, maybe we'll talk about the fact that your kids started school today on August 12th, which is an atrocity for this country. But in your Twitter account,
Next thing I do, I have to on purpose. I have to do this against my will. I have to put my youngest child in the car and take her to school
on August 12th.
On August 12th, I'm a failure because when I was around her age at 10 years old, I declared to the world. No one was listening, but I still shouted it out to anyone who was listening. When I grow up, my first order of business is to change the school week from 5 days to 4. I failed. We're now starting school even earlier than we ever did.
But when do they end school? Because I think, and it's been a while since I was in school, obviously, but I think in New York it's kind of still the same. You end in like the middle of June and you start like around Labor Day is generally how it goes. Like, do they end in May for you, or do they still end in June?
They end in May, but it ain't right. The greatest gift, I think we can agree, Nick, is that football gives us ongoing is it offsets the horror of the start of school. Like Labor Day is the worst holiday, obviously. It's Labor Day. We're celebrating we're celebrating work. What kind of thing is that? Like what you know what we need to do? We must honor the man. I'm not celebrating that. I make it a spiritual point to work on Labor Day because I'm not tipping the hat. I'm not bending.
That's very
the knee.
stupid.
He's already got. No, it's not stupid, and he's already got his iron food across my throat for all the time. You think I'm going to celebrate him? Fat. I ain't no sucker. I'm not going to do it. Now, on the other side of Labor Day, everybody's, I'm grilling wieners and I'm drinking a beer. Yeah, guess what's on the other side? School, work, winter. The only thing that saves it from just deep, dark depression, at least football's here. That's the gift.
My last question. In your Twitter account, the first thing that's mentioned, even before we get to the critically acclaimed show, Football America, which everybody should check out. Accountant.
Right. For taste.
Accountant for
taste.
Because
they always say, I always used to hear a lot of people say, like, there's no accounting for taste. And so I was like, somebody's got to fill that void, and I'm the guy to do it.
So let me ask you this here in about 90 seconds.
Go ahead.
How would you account for, and we don't have to get into Tony Romo's what happened out instead of off-field, off-broadcast booth. What do you make of the changes that CBS has made to its broadcast booth? And maybe Romo, I don't think Romo's ever coming back to CBS, but what do you make about the changes to CBS's broadcast booth here ahead of the start of the season?
It played as sort of cynical to say in the first 48 hours after that, but, I think a lot of us were proven correct. This provided a great excuse to CBS to get out from under him because the voodoo of him calling out the plays before the plays happened was his great trick. And that's why everybody decided they liked him. But I think that some of the coaches were like, hey, you're not doing that by eyeballing the line of scrimmage. You're doing that because when we have our sit down before the games, as is standard with the network, with the booth, we tell you, here's the sort of thing we're thinking about doing on Sunday, and you're calling it out before we do it. Standardly, you're supposed to do it after we do it and say, hey, coach told us on Friday in our sit down that we might be on the lookout for this sort of formation. He was calling it out in advance of it. That was a no-no. And so I think his voodoo was exposed, and they're like, so now what do we have? A guy who's not really doing a whole lot of work pre-game, enjoying the nightlife rather than studying tape. Let's get out from under this. I think CBS felt like they got played a little bit, and so this was a great opportunity. But it did provide a terrific video. We can all I love that he turned into Joey Tribbiani with the highway cop. I can't hear you, dude. And he's like, hey, my name's Tony. How you doing?
Right. That's a guy who's lived a charmed life. He's trying to charm a cop on a DUI potential stop. Absolutely ridiculous. We got a break, my friend. Football America is the show. YouTube, podcast, forum, part of Meadowlark Media, hosted by our friend, the very handsome Dave Damashek. Appreciate you. All right, Dave is just waving, which is great in an audio medium. Thank you very much. Dave Damashek joining us here on You Better Bet. There he is. Woo-hoo. All right, let's bring him down, please. Thank you very much. We have a piece of breaking news in the world of sports. I don't think it requires much further analysis other than just to say, because it is interesting and worth reporting. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne tweeting a couple minutes ago, the Los Angeles Lakers, who were sold from the Buss family, right, to Mark Walter, who owns the Dodgers, I don't know, was that a couple years ago maybe? The Lakers are now being sold from Mark Walter to American businessman Josh Kushner and Bob Iger, who is like is he still the Disney CEO? He's going to step down? I don't know. But like the Disney CEO like runs ESPN, he's going to step down at some point if he hasn't already. I'm sorry, I can tell you who the backup center is in Baltimore. I can't tell you if Bob Iger is still the CEO of Disney. Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are buying the Los Angeles Lakers for a record-breaking price over $12 billion. $12 billion. Per Ramona Shelburne, Kushner and Iger were involved in the expansion process in Vegas, where, there's been reports that Vegas and Seattle would get 2 NBA franchises if the NBA decides to expand or relocate. But in a stunning turn, this is per Shelburne, they, Kushner and Iger, pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers from Mark Walter, who had purchased a controlling interest in the team from the Buss family last year. Ramona Shelburne would add that Mark Walter, who owns the LA Dodgers, also will retain ownership of the Dodgers, but has sold the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's a pretty interesting tie-in here, and I didn't think I was going to do this on the show just because I think that, it doesn't matter as far as what goes on the field. But Sportico, who always puts out the rankings of highest valued NFL franchises every year, just put that out for this year. The Dallas Cowboys are the number one franchise in the NFL in terms of dollar rankings. $15.5 billion. Then there's the LA Rams at second, $12.7 billion. The New York Giants third, an even $12 billion. Patriots $10.4 billion. The New York Jets $10.35 billion. The top 5 valued franchises in the NFL. The LA Lakers just went for $12 billion. Wild stuff. So there you have it. Bob Iger, who stepped down as CEO of the Walt Disney Company on March 18th of this year, now goes from, that's pretty charmed existence. What were your last 2 gigs? Well, for me, it's working at Sports Illustrated and now this job. For Bob Iger, it's CEO of the Walt Disney Company and owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. It ain't so bad. We'll take a break, and on the other side, why I believe CBS is the big winner of this NFL offseason, presented by our friends at BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
That's pretty big news. The Lakers selling for over $12 billion per ESPN's Ramona Shelburne to American businessman Josh Kushner. I don't know who that is. Maybe I should. And Bob Iger, who I do know as the former CEO of the Walt Disney Company, former boss of ESPN. So the Lakers selling for the second time in a year, $12 billion, billion with a B, $12 billion. After Sportico released this morning that the Cowboys are the most valuable franchise in the NFL at $15.5 billion, then the Rams and the Giants both about 12. So the Lakers, basically based on this financial evaluation, would be the second most valuable franchise in the NFL, and the Lakers, of course, are a basketball team. I'm sure that there is some smart economic or financial thing to say about this, but I'm not. I'm just a sports guy. I'm not intelligent enough or educated enough in these matters to offer any type of opinion there. So instead, let me offer you an opinion on something that I do feel pretty educated and informed about, because it is my field, the field that I have chosen and have been in now. Come this September, this will be 25 years for me at age 43. I started at 18 in 2001. 25 years for me doing sports broadcasting. At the CBS Sports Upfronts, I believe they're called, in New York City over the last couple days. And this was pretty highly anticipated in sports media. Now, you might be listening to this right now or watching, thinking to yourself, why does this matter for me? They're talking about, media things and broadcasting. Why should I, as a sports fan, I want to hear Nick talk about my favorite team, or which team's going to win the NBA championship this season? The Knicks. Thank you for asking. Here's why this matters. Because this will impact your viewing experience this NFL season. So David Berson, who is the boss of CBS Sports, obviously has to address the elephant in the room, which is Tony Romo, who CBS put on leave a couple weeks ago after his arrest and the subsequent video that came out for operating while intoxicated. So Tony Romo's on leave. And CBS had previously announced that with Romo on leave, J.J. Watt would be elevated from the number 2 team at CBS calling NFL games with friend of the show, Ian Eagle, that J.J. Watt would replace Romo while Romo is on leave. So Berson is obviously, he knows that he's going to have to talk about this. He's going to be asked about it. So Berson basically says, the process is playing out. We have no update on it. Now I'm going to give you my opinion here. And a lot of people share this opinion also. We can be wrong, but this is my opinion. Tony Romo is done calling games for CBS. He's done. I would be surprised. I don't know if I'd be floored, but I would be surprised if Tony Romo ever called another game for CBS. We can go back to the 2018 AFC Championship game with the Chiefs and the Patriots at Arrowhead. The Patriots won that game in overtime and then beat the Rams in the Super Bowl a couple weeks later. Tony Romo in that game delivered what I, in the moment, was thinking, and I still believe this to be true, and this comes again from someone who's been watching the NFL every Sunday since 1990. I think it's the greatest game a color commentator's ever had. The single greatest game was Romo in that AFC Championship game, where he's literally, at the end of the game and certainly in overtime on the Patriots drive, he is calling out what the Patriots are going to do before they do it. And it has not been great since then, but I don't want to forget that it happened. It was incredible. We were all mystified and stunned. How is he doing this? Where before the play, he's going, Julian Edelman's going to run here, Gronk's going to run here, Brady's going to throw the ball here. And then Brady would take the snap, and that's exactly what would happen. And I was watching slack-jawed. Oh, my God. This guy is the next John Madden. That is what this is going to be here. CBS has struck gold here with Tony Romo. And as the years have gone on, obviously, that has not come to fruition. And not only has it not come to fruition, and I used to work at CBS. I have a lot of friends that work there. I don't mean this to be anti-CBS in any way, shape, or form. Again, I'm telling you that I thought Romo was on the same trajectory everybody else did, and CBS did. But as the years have gone on, if we're being honest, and I think most people are, Tony Romo's not that good. He's not that good at the job. And Jim Nantz absolutely has his fastball still. And I have felt, and many others have as well, that Jim Nantz is like being wasted here with Tony Romo. And that's not fair to Jim Nantz to say that because Nantz is still really good. But I mean, come on. Like, this is what Jim Nantz has to deal with? A guy who is pretty clearly not prepared. And there are a lot of sports media reporters who have said the quiet part out loud, that Tony Romo doesn't prepare the way that he should. And he was coasting at the beginning off of his knowledge of the league, and that as the years have gone on and he's further removed from playing quarterback, that his knowledge isn't there, leading him to say things like the Jacksonville Jaguars. But let me tell you, the Jaguars can win this game. In the wild card round this January, when they were hosting the Buffalo Bills, and the betting market basically had it as a coin flip. Like, what the hell is he talking about? And he's relying on the, oh, shucks, well, Jim, I don't know. Like, he's not that good. Now, if you wanted to make the argument that Tony Romo should be on like CBS or Fox or the third or fourth team, we could have that. And maybe if that were the case, we could appreciate a little bit more the aw shucks nature of Tony Romo. If instead of doing Bills Chiefs, instead of that game, maybe instead he's doing Jets Titans. And maybe then we would like Tony Romo a little bit more. But given the fact that he is the number one at getting paid what he's paid, and I'm not looking to adjudicate someone's bank account, I hope everybody makes all the money in the world. But given that all these things are true, he's obviously under the microscope a little bit more, criticized a little bit more, scrutinized a little bit more, and deservedly so. Now, I have not been watching the HBO show House of the Dragon. I'm kind of Game of Thrones out, if I can be honest. But one of my favorite quotes from Game of Thrones, right, whether it's the books, whether it's the television show, is when Littlefinger says, and it's a great line, and it absolutely applies to everyday life. When Littlefinger says, chaos is a ladder. What does that mean? When a chaotic event happens, it creates, obviously, chaos, which is in the saying. And when there is chaos, opportunity arises. So when this happens with Romo, and we know that CBS is not necessarily happy with Romo because it's been reported publicly that they had to sit down with him and ask him to prepare more. Of course, CBS, given what they pay him, feeling like they were taken for a ride by Romo, which is more than fair to think. You'd think the same thing. I would think the same thing, that they're going to try and get out of it. So chaos, Tony Romo's arrest and subsequent public video, creates a ladder. J.J. Watt climbs the ladder. Not J.J. Watt didn't arrange for this to happen. It happened, and when someone gets demoted, someone has to get promoted. That's how life works. So J.J. Watt gets to climb the ladder, now on the number one team. And I'll tell you this, without ever hearing or seeing J.J. Watt call a game with Jim Nantz, I guarantee that when we watch Packers-Vikings this year, week 1 on CBS, that it will be better than if Tony Romo were calling the game with Jim Nantz. And I'm not rooting against Romo. I'm not. Romo gets his act together. I have no idea what his situation is out of the broadcast booth. I don't know. But I'm rooting for him to get his act together. I don't want him to never call a game again. Maybe that's what happens. But to be clear, I'm not rooting against him. What I'm rooting for is my viewing experience and your viewing experience. I want it to be better. And I guarantee that Nantz and Watt are going to be better game 1 than Nantz and Romo. Guaranteed. As we continue along the theme of chaos as a ladder, Ross Tucker, Odyssey NFL insider, friend of mine for, I am biased here. Ross has been my friend for 20 years. I have had dinner with Ross and his wife, right outside their house in Pennsylvania, when both of us, and in another lifetime, worked at NFL radio together. He's been on this show a million times. I texted him when this news came down. Ross Tucker gets promoted, and now he will be on the number 2 team with Ian Eagle. My sense is that that's what it's going to be for the rest of the season. And I don't think Romo's coming back. And this is going to absolutely improve our viewing experience this NFL season. I'll acknowledge a bias. I like Ross. Ross is a friend. So you could say, well, you're only saying that because you're friends, which is not true. Because if he were my friend and I thought he sucked, I just wouldn't say what I'm saying right now. I wouldn't say he sucks because he's my friend, but I wouldn't say I think he's going to do great. He's going to do great. He's spectacular calling games. He's informative. He's enthusiastic. He's obsessed with football. He has fun. He knows everything about every team. And think about Ian Eagle and Ian's unbelievable ability to work with basically, and what a rare trait this is in a broadcaster, where you could put Ian with he's like the sports broadcasting equivalent of Shawn Michaels as a professional wrestler, or Ric Flair, where there's the saying, Shawn Michaels could take a broomstick and have a 5-star match. And I'm not insinuating Ross Tucker is the equivalent of a broomstick. I think Ross is great. But you could give Ian Eagle this pen I'm holding in my hand, and Ian Eagle's going to turn it into a great broadcasting team, because Ian's great. And now you put Ian Eagle, who's objectively great, with Ross Tucker, who I believe is objectively great, and now with added eyeballs and added emphasis, and all the and everything that's going to be the attention that's going to be paid to him, I think we will all realize in short order collectively how good he is. And our viewing experience, because of this, is going to be better watching NFL games this year. I don't mean this to be anti-Romo. I'm not rooting against him. But let's call a spade a spade. He's not very good. And when we watch him call games, too often his poor performance is the story. I'm not interested in it anymore, if that's what it's going to be. J.J. Watt is going to be better. And with Ross now elevated, CBS's NFL coverage as a whole will be better as well. Tony Romo's chaos created a ladder. J.J. Watt goes up the ladder. Ross Tucker goes up the ladder. And as a result, we, as football fans, are going to win. We'll talk Major League Baseball here on You Better You Bet right after this.
try some more paint. Or that. Snell sits him down on 3 pitches. Snellzilla strikes out the side and is returned to the bump.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Is Snellzilla a thing? Sportsnet LA, courtesy of The Call. LA got a lot going on right now. That Lakers just sold for $12 billion. Dodgers probably going to win another World Series. Rams, Chargers. Oh my! That's the Snellzilla. I don't like that. Whatever. Today, BetMGM players will receive a WNBA Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a WNBA wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today and please gamble responsibly. Got a couple baseball topics that we'll get to in the final hour of the show. Raheem Palmer will join us to start the hour talking some NFL and NBA from a betting perspective. Blake Snell in the lineup last night for the Dodgers. 10 strikeouts, 6 innings. Dodgers win again, have now beaten the Royals 2 straight. And look, the Royals stink, so it's not to be, wow, unbelievable, right? But with Snell back, and with Tarek Skubal now in the fold, the Los Angeles Dodgers postseason rotation, assuming health, Skubal, multiple-time Cy Young Award winner. Blake Snell, multiple-time Cy Young Award winner. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you know, the World Series most valuable player from last year. And a guy that you might have heard of. His name is Shohei Ohtani, who has won about 1 billion regular MVP awards, period. So again, 2 multiple-time Cy Young Award winners, a World Series MVP, and a multi-time league MVP, all in the same rotation. The Los Angeles Dodgers. Absolutely silly. Baseball is a funky sport. October can be very weird. Crazy things can happen in short series. Obviously, the Dodgers are the favorite. They should be the favorite. If your life were on the line, you would pick them to win the World Series. And when I say that rotation, obviously it's hard to go against it. I just want to repeat, though, something that I said yesterday on the show when John Jastrzemski joined us. And again, I got a couple other baseball topics we'll get to next hour. Last night, the San Diego Padres bludgeoned the Milwaukee Brewers 11-2. The point of this is not that the Padres are better than the Brewers. The Brewers have the best record in baseball. But the San Diego Padres, after the moves that they made at the trade deadline, are now in a statistical dead heat for the final wild card spot in the NL playoffs. If we get Dodgers-Padres in round 1, I'd pick the Dodgers to win the series, but I also believe that the winner of that wild card series would represent the National League in the World Series. Final hour power hour coming up next. Raheem Palmer kicks it off right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Laura. Final hour. Power hour. You better you bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, Raheem Palmer, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by our friends at BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. We'll get to more Major League Baseball this hour. Talked about the Dodgers, talk about the Padres to close the last hour on the show. Have some American League thoughts to give you coming up about 20 minutes from now, including my New York Yankees widening the gap over the Red Sox in the race for the top wildcard spot in the American League. And we will also get into one of the dumbest sound bites and one of the dumbest quotes a general manager in any sport has ever said out loud. You talk about unforced errors in tennis. Golden State Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy had one of the biggest unforced errors I've ever seen in my almost 40 years of being obsessed with sports. We will share it with you and tell you what it means for the future of Steph Curry coming up in a little bit. But joining us right now on the show, one of my absolute favorites. And I said this to him off air, and I'm not just saying this because he's coming on the show. He destroyed the NBA playoffs this past year from a prediction perspective, from a betting perspective, to the point that, like, I'm a Knicks fan. He loved the Knicks so much before the NBA Finals against San Antonio that it made me more confident that my team was going to win. So he is on some type of heater coming into football season. I hope I didn't jinx him. I don't think I am because he's really good. He is one of the hosts of the newly named Ringer Wise Guys. So it's the Ringer Sports Betting Show featuring friend of the show, Anthony DeBundo, friend of the show, Cousin Sal, Joe House, and Tate Frazier. My guy, Raheem Palmer, on Twitter at I am Rostradamus. My friend, welcome back to
Thanks for having me on.
What's going on?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we had the Knicks in 5. That paid 12-1. So we partied all summer. Actually, I just left the club. Like, it's 8 a.m. out here in Vegas. So I just left the club, got some breakfast, came home, took a little half an hour nap, and I'm here with you right now.
So are you being serious? Like, you just left the club? Is that actually true?
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Did you, because you seem very sober right now. It's like, were you drinking? How did your night go?
Oh, it was pretty good, pretty average night. I mean, it wasn't like a me falling out on the floor night. I had some crazy nights. This was just like a real low key night, but I just didn't get a lot of sleep.
Man, how old are you?
I'm 40. I just turned 40 in March.
Happy birthday. So I'm 43. You can still, like, dude, I can't. I'm a dad. Like, I'm washed. Like, you seem like you're very much not washed. How is that possible at age 40? Like, I'm tired just hearing you say all of this.
So before I got into this gambling industry and sports media, I was a DJ for like 20 plus years. Like, this is what I do. Like, I used to lead a club, and then I used to do my Floyd Mayweather thing. I used to lead a club and hit the gym. So This is nothing.
Good for, I guess it is, because honestly, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I would have never thought that was true, that you had just left the club like an hour ago. I'm being serious, and are just making it on the air.
And I'll be honest with you, I was up betting on South Korean baseball last.
So I stopped betting on Korean
Kia
baseball.
Tigers versus, the Kia Tigers versus Samsung Lions. They just won the second game of the series. They won 7-2. I've been up, man. I burned the candles at both ends.
I haven't bet on Korean baseball since the pandemic, when it was like the only thing going on. I remember staying up to watch that first game, and like Marcus Timms was in the broadcast booth for like 3 innings, and I had this thought to myself, what am I doing with my life right now sitting here and watching this? That's great. Probably a great opportunity to make money. So before we get to the NFL, we'll do some NBA, just because I think like we have a lot of sports bettors in our audience, and even if you're not a sports bettor, I think you can kind of relate to this, right? So again, you really did. Like, you annihilated the NBA play. I'm not just saying that. Like, it happened. I was following along with you as it was happening. Does that change your mindset going into an NFL season, into a new NBA season? Like, does that mess with you at all? Like, it was so good? Take us into your mindset as a sports bettor here before we get into some of the games.
I mean, every day is a different day. So, I mean, it's not about what you did in the past. You just got to put that behind you and keep it moving. So it doesn't change your mindset. I mean, you go on heaters, you go on low runs. I mean, I've had some bad runs publicly, like year or two. Like, I used to do a thing called the 100, where I gave out 100 NBA picks during the NBA playoffs. The first year I killed it. The second year I got destroyed. You just got to put that behind you. You know, it's one day at a time. You go on good runs, you go on bad runs. You can't win tomorrow's battles based on what you did yesterday. So you keep it moving.
I gotta tell you, man, you're at the club all night. You're here, like, you look great, you sound great, and you're giving us like inspirational quotes, man. This is some good stuff from our friend Raheem Palmer. All right,
like I'm gonna tell you, like I like, for as much as I killed the NBA playoffs, I had impossible futures last year in the NFL. I had the Carolina when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 5-1. I gave out the Carolina Panthers 18-1 to win the division. Like, I had the Bears 9-1 to win the division. Like, I had stuff that just shouldn't happen. So it's just like, none of that matters this year. People want to win like money now. Like, if you like, so it just doesn't matter what I did in the past.
So let's try and keep it rolling and give out some winners for this year. And hopefully your winners and hopefully all of us win it. It'll be really awesome. So I led the show here with the Minnesota Vikings and signing Kyler Murray. And last year, if our audience remembers, I was not prescient enough. I did have a bet on the Bears to win the division, but my big position was Bears to be a playoff team last year, which obviously happened. You were bigger on them to win the division. I'm going to have the Vikings to win the division this year with Kyler Murray at quarterback. I'm pretty bullish on what Minnesota can do. Just curious, before we get to the rest of the division, where are you at right now on a betting perspective? Kyler Murray in Minnesota, win total of 8.5, longest shot on the board to win this division.
So you look at this team last year, they were 8th in points allowed, 4th in EPA per play on defense. So the defense was there, but the problem was the offense. You're talking about an offense that was 31st in EPA per play. J.J. McCarthy wasn't good at all. So naturally, you bring in Kyler Murray, and you should be getting an upgrade. We know that Brian Flores is one of the best defensive-minded coordinators in the league, and we know that their head coach, he's a guy who can get the best out of anybody. So now you have a competent quarterback. So, that should lend itself towards a team that challenges for the division, especially when you look at the kind of offseason that the Green Bay Packers have had and the fact that the Chicago Bears, I mean, they're due for some regression. I mean, this is a team that basically won games based on turnovers, and then they're already coming into the season with injuries to the defense. So I can understand it from that perspective. However, they need to rack up some wins early in the year. I mean, you start the year early with Green Bay and Chicago. That's going to be key. Then you got Tampa Bay and Miami and then New Orleans. You really need to get off to a fast start, because at the end of the year, you're talking about, what is that, weeks? I think it was weeks 10 through 13. You got Green Bay, San Francisco, Atlanta. Like, that's a tough stretch. And then before that, you got Detroit and Buffalo. So they really need to get off to a fast start. But if there's one thing you can say about Kyler Murray, he tends to start off fast and fade late. So hopefully he can keep it going all year long. But I don't think that's a bad bet. I mean, the division odds are like 5-1 or something like that. So this is a good shot.
Let's go big picture now in the NFC, where I'm guessing your answer to this question will be the field, because I think it's like people that bet that's going to be the popular answer. If I gave you the LA Rams or the field, I'm going to guess you're going to take the field in the NFC. And if that's the case, tell me why you would take a team other than the LA Rams potentially to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl.
Well, Matthew Stafford is about to be 40 years old. He's about to be our age. At some point, these quarterbacks tend to fall off. And if you look at the Rams toward the end of last year, I mean, everybody looked at this Rams team. I know they were 12-5, but they kind of faded late. Look at what they did last year. They lost to Carolina. You lose to Carolina, you lose to Atlanta. But then if you go through the playoffs, they should have lost to Carolina in the postseason, and they should have lost to the Bears in the postseason. So that last month of the season, they were not the same team. And I still have some concerns about this secondary. I know you got Myles Garrett, but I mean, they're still in a tough division. So I'm naturally going to take the field when you got an older quarterback. I'm not that crazy about the Rams.
So if it's not the Rams, give me and it's August 12th. This can be pencil, not pen. There could be injuries. Things can obviously change. But as it stands right now, who would be your pick to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl?
Ooh. Well, obviously the Rams are the favorite. It would,
and I've said, to be fair to you, Raheem, I have said the same thing. The Rams deserve to be the favorite. If my life were on the line, I'd probably pick them to represent the NFC. But if we're talking sports betting here, you can get a better price elsewhere. You can poke holes in what the Rams are doing. I just wanted to support what you said there. So give me the other team if it's not going to be the Rams.
I think the Cowboys have a real shot. And I'm not saying it just because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I think you're talking about a team that scored 27 points per game last year, and they gave up 30 points a game. If you get any positive regression from that defense, I know they added Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence, Quentin Williams. I just think the Cowboys have a real shot.
I don't disagree. I have said that I think Championship Sunday is going to be Cowboys-Niners and a throwback to the early 90s. So I don't know if I'll stick with that as we approach the start of the season, but I like that call on the Dallas Cowboys. You bet on this Wednesday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM. Our guest, our friend Raheem Palmer of the newly named Ringer Wise Guys, with friends of the show, Anthony DeBundo, Cousin Sal, and others on Twitter at I am Rastradamus. Okay, big picture AFC. Who goes to the Super Bowl out of the conference and why?
I keep doing this every year. I'm gonna say Baltimore.
Okay, I like Baltimore a lot too.
I still think it's either Baltimore or Houston. Houston, we know the defense is. I mean, it's just there. I know, like if you look at like Football Outsiders, they say defense isn't consistent year to year. Their defense is going to be consistent here. So Houston is one of my picks, but then the other one is Baltimore. I just think Baltimore Ravens. You bring in Jesse Minter. One of the things that they fell off on last year was defense. I think he pushes that defense to the next level. You get Matt Abuke back. I think the key thing is that you got a healthy Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson is healthy, I think we're going to look up like week 7 or so, and they're going to be, 6-1, 5-2, going into that matchup against Cincinnati. And you're going to be like, damn, I can't believe the Ravens were only plus 100 to win the division. So I really like the Ravens. I think it's those two teams.
I'm guessing you'll agree with this. I'm having this, and even if you, the person listening or watching the audience, even if you don't bet, I'm guessing you've had a similar experience to what I'm about to lay out here. So, and our audience knows this because I've been saying it literally like for months on this show. I like the Houston Texans a lot in the AFC, and I think I'm going to have them at worst on Championship Sunday, maybe representing the conference in the Super Bowl. As we get closer to the season, it feels like a lot of people feel the same way about the Texans, right? You like the Texans. I like the Texans. I had Dave Damashek on the show last hour. He likes the Texans. Like, I feel like all the smart people I talk to, it doesn't mean it has to come to fruition. Everybody likes Houston. And it's funny because that should almost make me feel better about it. And it makes me scared that everybody likes the same thing that I like. Do you agree with that train of thought, or do you not like stuff like that bother you? Because it feels like everyone loves the Texans right now.
I feel like that more game to game as opposed to future wise. Because I mean, if you look at like a team like the Philadelphia Eagles 2 years ago, everybody liked the Eagles. And the Eagles went out there and won the Super Bowl and crushed Patrick Mahomes. So I think a lot of times our preseason priors on certain teams, they end up being true. Like, I mean, let's be real. Last year, going into the NBA season, everybody said the Knicks were going to the Eastern Conference Finals or going to the finals because you had Tyrese Halliburton out and they were the clear best team. And then you forget that over the course of the season. So I think a lot of times we end up being correct on our preseason priors. Now, game to game, series to series, if everybody's on one thing, that's when I take a step back. But for futures, no, I don't see it that way.
Let's talk about games quickly, and then we'll go to the NBA. Do you have right now, and just to offer the caveat again, it's August 12th, a month before the game start, guys can get hurt, things can happen. If I asked you right now for your favorite week 1 bet in the NFL, what would it be and why?
My favorite week 1 bet. Wow. I actually want, I kind of gave this out. I actually want the Rams week 1. And I normally don't take the Rams.
Beat the Niners and cover in Australia.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it has a lot to do with the injuries to the 49ers. So I kind of want to get out ahead of that number because I think it's gonna move. But I also think I like the Eagles against the Commanders. And a big reason why is because Laramie Tunsil was out. And if there's one thing you could say about the Philadelphia Eagles is that their defense is going to be good. I have question marks about their offense, but I think their defense is going to be a problem. And there's been camp reports saying that the Commanders are really struggling with pass protection right now. And the last team you want to be struggling with pass protection with is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that home opener is going to be a problem. I think the Eagles, they should be able to score some points and win this Commanders team. I think the Commanders team are going to kind of be like an over team, almost like the Jameis Winston Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to where they can't stop anybody. So they're going to have to score a lot of points. But I don't know if you can be able to score a lot of points on this Eagles team. So I kind of want to lay it with the Eagles at 5.5.
Eagles like a 4.5 or 5 point home favorite in week 1 right now against the Washington Commanders. All right, we'll get you out of here with a little NBA. I loved kind of your analysis yesterday that you were tweeting at I Am Rostradamus on the Knicks Sixers opening line for October 20th when the Knicks will raise the banner at Madison Square Garden. Now, we're 2 months out, right? So this is more just fun conversation as opposed to like real actionable info this early in the process. What does the Knicks being a 4.5 point favorite against Philly tell you? And then we can maybe talk about who you might like in the game 2 months in advance.
Well, it tells you that the market thinks that the Philadelphia 76ers have gotten a lot better, because if you look at what was the game 1 line, that line was 7.5. Now you're at 4.5. And I think we've actually seen some movement already to the Knicks at 5.5. So the market doesn't seem to be buying that the Philadelphia 76ers are better initially. Now, here's the one thing you got to remember. LeBron joined the super team back in 2011, the Miami Heat. They started the season 9-7. And this is a prime LeBron James. Now, you look at LeBron when he goes to the Cavaliers back in 2014 to 2015. The Cavs started the season 5-7. You got a bunch of high usage guys: LeBron James, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid. I don't know how you mesh that together. And I think it's going to take some time. And then if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, last year, I think they were 17th in defensive rating. And now you add LeBron James. I don't know if that's going to improve. So I expect the defense to be rough pretty early. And I think the Knicks probably have some value depending on what happens between now and, the game time. We're still a couple of months away. Anybody can, pull a hamstring or something in training camp. But I see why that number has moved up from 4.5 to 5.5. The Knicks are a ready-made team. It's banner night. I think the Knicks should be able to get the win. The Sixers start off slow.
I said it yesterday on the show. Like the Sixers, I think, have the opportunity they could win the title this year. But I mean, in game 1 against the Knicks, who are fully formed already, I would be pretty surprised if the Knicks didn't win that game by 7 to 10 points or potentially more. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be, come season's end, 7 to 10 points better than Philly. But in the opener, I think that can absolutely be the case. Raheem, final question.
Think you got to fade Philly early. Fade Philly early. I'm probably actually going to grab the season win total under and then try to come back and middle it. Like, that's my strategy. I'm going to be fading them early until they figure it out, because it's going to take some time.
Now, the answer could be something related to Thunder Spurs on opening night, but really you can take it anywhere you want. Do you have an NBA betting opinion that you're pretty hot on right now that you could share with the audience 2 months before the start of the season?
Boston Celtics over. I took 49.5 wins. It's now 50.5. I just think the organizational structure of the Boston Celtics and Mazzulla Ball, they're going to shoot a ton of threes, and they're going to have a low turnover rate. Basically, you lose Jaylen Brown, who's a high usage guy who, I mean, if you look at the on-off numbers, they were kind of better with him off the court. Now, are they a better team? I'm not sure. But basically, you're losing Jaylen Brown and you're gaining a full season of Jason Tatum and Paul George, who I think is a more portable player. So I took the Boston Celtics over 49.5 wins. That's now 50.5. I don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi Leonard and his suspension, but I think the Raptors are going to be really, really good. So I like their win total over. And I also kind of want to take a shot on the Raptors to win the division. Like I think they was like 5-1 or something crazy to win the Atlantic division.
Because that's the Knicks, Celtics, and Sixers all in the same division.
Yeah, so I kind of want to take a shot on that. I mean, if you look at the Raptors last year, they were 5th in defensive rating and 15th in offensive rating. I think Kawhi moves them to close to the top 10 in offensive rating. So I want to play the Raptors a ton in the regular season next year. I'm never trusting him to stay healthy again in the postseason, but for the regular season, I think the Raptors are going to be a juggernaut.
And just remember, the Raptors took the Cavs to Game 7 in the first rounds of the playoffs without their point guard, Emmanuel Quickly. Maybe that says more about Cleveland than it did about Toronto, but we will find out when the season starts, assuming Kawhi Leonard is a member of the Toronto Raptors. You're the best, dude. I really enjoy you and your content. Appreciate you coming on the show, especially after being at the club all night. Ringer Wise Guys, I am Rostradamus on Twitter. Stay well. We'll do this again, my friend. Thank you.
No doubt. Thanks for having me. Always an honor.
And I'll tell you what, just also about my friend Raheem. We follow each other on Instagram. No one lives better than this dude. With the dinners this guy's going out to in Vegas, with the sneakers that we're talking off air, with the Louboutins. My guy is living right. He's doing it right. Great stuff from our friend Raheem Palmer. All right, we'll take a break. And coming up next, I'm going to read you the quote. What Mike Dunleavy, the GM of the Golden State Warriors, had to say yesterday. And you can draw your own conclusions as to what it means for the future of Steph Curry in the Bay Area. Coming up next on Westwood One Sports.
I'm pretty confident Steph will finish his career here, but ultimately it's his call, his decision. Allowing his contract to run out and move on, or look, if he comes to me and wants to be moved, Joe and I will talk it through. We wouldn't love it, but he's earned the right to where he wants to do those things.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. That is the voice of Golden State Warriors General Manager Mike Dunleavy. In the years that I've been watching sports, there are many dumb things that have been said by coaches, owners, executives, players. I say dumb things all the time. Judging by the reaction that I got yesterday for saying that I think the Jets could contend for an AFC wildcard spot, you would think I was the dumbest person on the planet. That's okay. We'll see how the games shake out. This could be the single dumbest thing I have ever heard a general manager say in any sport in all the years I've been paying attention to sports. We use the term unforced error in tennis. This is an unforced error by a sports executive. I am going to, because I think it's important, I am going to read the full quote here. We played it for you. I actually don't think it's enough. I want to read it to you. So I have this here, and this is courtesy of the great Twitter account. You have to be a Golden State Warriors fan to like the Twitter account, but it's a huge account in terms of Golden State Warriors information. Warriors World is the account, if you're a Warriors fan and you're interested in following an NBA fan. So I don't know which reporter asked this, so please, I'm apologizing. Please forgive me for that. It's just the question in bold. The question and the comment that preceded Mike Dunleavy's answer is this. Steph, of course, Steph Curry. Steph has been consistent about his desire to stay with one franchise his entire career to retire as a Warrior. Has he given you any indication that that has all changed this summer? So here's Mike Dunleavy's answer. Not to me. No, he hasn't. That's always been the message. That's always been sort of what we discussed, and I think that's tracking quite well. Obviously, he's eligible for an extension coming up at the end of the month, which now I'm adding something that would pay him about $1 billion. He's Steph Curry. He's earned it. Now back to Dunleavy. And we'll talk through all that stuff and can't speak on it much right now. But I'm pretty confident Steph will finish his career here. Now, let's say that Mike Dunleavy stopped talking right then and there. You don't even need that line, I'm pretty confident, because saying you're pretty confident implies that you're not 100% confident. But let's even say pretty confident, you're accounting for, the possibility of anything happen. Let's say the answer ends right there. There's no news. We're not talking about it. We're not talking on this show or people on other shows about the possibility that Steph Curry could ask out of Golden State. All he had to do was stop talking there. But no. He continued. Now, here's the rest of it. And I will go back to the beginning of the last sentence. I'm pretty confident Steph will finish his career here. But, ultimately, it's his call, his decision, whether that's allowing his contract to run out and move on, or if he comes to me and wants to be moved, Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, Joe and I will talk it through. We wouldn't love it, but he's earned the right to be where he wants to do those things. But as far as the messaging or any idea that he would be anywhere else, that's not a thing we're looking at or he's looking at. Okay, Mike, if that's true, if it's not a thing that he's looking at or thinking about, and it's not a thing that you're looking at or thinking about, why would you say it? I've been saying on the show for, a month now? Look, this idea of blind loyalty is insane to me. It's insane. I'm sorry. And I actually think this is something that you, the listener, you in the audience, you can disagree with me on this, and you're welcome. And I mean that. We're welcome to differing opinions on this. I think, you know who I have blind loyalty to in my life? My wife. My daughter. My mom. My sister. My family. The friends that I hold closest to me. Blind loyalty. As an example, and I mean that, everything I'm about to say, I mean. I love the company that I work for. I love Odyssey. I'm on Westwood One Sports. Odyssey writes my checks. They've written my checks since 2019. They have treated me like gold. I love the people this is true. I love the people I work for. I love doing the show. I love the opportunity that was given to me. Also, Odyssey is a corporation. So while I can have loyalty to people, the idea of being loyal to a corporation is life is too short for this. That doesn't mean that I'm looking to leave. I'm not. I love it here. I'm just saying. The idea of being loyal to a corporation, blindly loyal, just forever, just because, is crazy. Is crazy. And I'm very happy here. You may be happy at your job. If you get a better offer from somewhere else or a better situation where you can support your family, the people that you're blindly loyal to, you have to consider it, right? If not, outright take it. So this idea that Steph Curry needs to finish his career in Golden State just so he can. And look, maybe he wants to do that. And God bless him. He's earned that right. Just like you've earned the right to do whatever you want and I've earned the right to do whatever I want. Maybe Steph wants to finish his career as a Warrior. Maybe. And cool on him if that's the case. If it were me, I'd want out. Now, I'm not him. Insert joke here. I know I'm not Steph Curry. But here's the deal, right, with Steph Curry. And so everything I've just said, right, you can disagree with it opinion-wise. You can have a different opinion on loyalty. That's fine, and I mean that. What I'm about to say, there is no opinion. This is fact, what I'm about to say. The Golden State Warriors, barring them getting into the playoffs is the 9 seed, and everyone else getting the 2020 version of COVID where no one can play, they have 0 chance of winning a championship. 0. If you took the percent chance of the Golden State Warriors winning an NBA championship this year or next year, do you know, and multiplied it by 1 million, do you know what it would be? 0. 0. So Steph can do what he wants. And I'm not going to criticize him if he comes out, signs his extension, goes, I want to finish my career here. He's earned that right. Also, if he does that, he is saying, I am okay, and he's 1-4 already. And I know that. But he is basically saying, I am okay with never contending for another championship. Because it ain't happening. It's not. You cannot make the case with the Thunder and the Spurs being what they are and the Warriors being what they are right now. Steph's 38 years old. The Warriors are not winning anything. It's not happening. So if I were Steph Curry, I'm not. And if it were you, what would you do? Would you want to go potentially win one more title, even if it meant, you don't play your career with you don't finish your career with one team? Maybe. That's what I would do. Why would Mike Dunleavy say this? And now, I'm not in his head, but I'll give you my opinion. You can have, and by the way, an acceptable answer could be because he's stupid. That can be the answer, just he's dumb, and it's an unforced error. But if we're going to dig a little deeper and assume that there's some potential meaning behind what he's saying, some malfeasance, if you will, potentially, could it be that, and I don't think this is outside the realm of possibility, and by the way, nor do I think it should be, that they want to trade him, that they want to do it. And maybe he's saying it to grease the skids potentially for a potential Steph Curry trade. Now, you might think I'm nuts for saying that. But again, let's go back to the one thing that I've said here that I believe is not opinion, is fact. The Warriors can't win. They can't. They just can't. So if you're Golden State, this is like, and I understand it's not apples to apples, like Myles Garrett to the Cleveland Browns is not Steph Curry to the Golden State Warriors. But if you're the Cleveland Browns and you can't win, why is Myles Garrett on your team? Like the Raiders, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders and you can't win, why is Max Crosby on your team? If you're the Golden State Warriors and you can't win, why is Steph Curry on your team? Just to say he finished his career as a Warrior? Like, maybe. Also, like, what if you could get assets for Steph that you could use to actually, try and win in a couple of years, 3 to 5 years from now? Doesn't it make sense? If we are going to leave loyalty aside for a second here, and this is not me saying loyalty is bad, just like the idea of being loyal to this team that he's played for, and you could still love the city and love the people and love the fan base. But if we're going to put that aside, what is the purpose of Steph Curry finishing his career in Golden State? What's the purpose of it? Mike Dunleavy says, well, I tried. Like, I'm paraphrasing something else he said. You'd be surprised by how many cold calls I made to other GMs. Like he's trying to sell insurance. How many players I'm trying to acquire. Well, Mike, you did great. Anthony Davis is in Washington still. LeBron's in Philly. Great job, buddy. Awesome job creating this roster around Steph that can actually contend. Like, bang up work. And now he's saying, well, Steph's earned the right to come to us to ask for a trade. I'll ask you, why do you think he said it? Why do you think he said that? Is something going on here? I suppose that the answer could just be, he's dumb. He put his foot in his mouth. Like the Purdue athletic director did last week when he said, if you want to win championships, don't go to Indiana, after Indiana just won the national championship in college football. And to be fair to the Purdue AD, he walked that back. He did walk it back. He said he knew as soon as he said it, foot in mouth. Mike Dunleavy should address the media today in the Bay Area and be like, man, I put my foot in my mouth. Like, we want Steph to be here. That's the expectation. That's it. Period. I doubt it happens. I have no idea if Steph Curry will ask for a trade. And to be fair, like, I don't talk to Mike Dunleavy or Joe Lacob. Like, I have no idea if the Warriors actually want to trade him. But from a basketball perspective, outside of, well, I'd like to finish, we want him to finish his career here. Or Steph, I want to finish my career here. What's the point? What is the point? What's the point? You bet on this Wednesday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports. A couple other notes right now for Major League Baseball before we take one more break and we'll wrap up the show with bets for tonight. The New York Yankees, my Yankees, beat the Mariners last night. And I actually felt bad after the game for Cal Raleigh, who you might remember, it was not that long ago that Cal Raleigh was launching 60 homers and finishing just behind Aaron Judge in the race last year for American League Most Valuable Player. If I asked you right now, you in our audience, what's Cal Raleigh's batting average this year? What would you guess it is if you don't know? The answer, it sounds made up. Cal Raleigh is hitting 159 for the what team does he play for? The Mariners, the baseball team in Seattle. See, I told you I'm not in midseason form yet. 159. And he says after the game, we're playing terrible baseball. And to his credit, he said, I know that I'm pointing the finger here, but the big finger's pointed at me. I'm the worst of the bunch. He knows it. The Mariners just continue to be an epic disappointment. Have the most talent of any team in that division and are now 7 games under 500. Are they going to pull it together? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it. So part of me does feel bad for Kyle Raleigh. Also, I'm just very annoyed by the Seattle Mariners and that Seattle's not better. That's a great fan base in the Pacific Northwest. And they just honored 50 years of Seattle Mariners baseball, and Griffey's there, and A-Rod's there, and many of Lou Pinella's there, many of the greats are there. And this team can't get out of its own way. And I think the Yankees will beat them again tonight. And then you have the Boston Red Sox, who lose yesterday again on the road in Toronto against the Blue Jays, as the Blue Jays try to make a wild card push after very nearly, and I was just thinking about this as it regards the Dodgers, this idea that the Dodgers are going to ruin baseball. Like, you do realize, to everybody that says that the Blue Jays absolutely should have beaten them in the World Series last year, right? And that, and if that happens, we're having a way different conversation about the Dodgers this year. Yanks now 3 games up on Boston. And I think the Yankees will be the top wild card team. The Red Sox will be the second, and that'll be the wild card series. And home field, Bronx or Fenway, Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park, I think will play a huge difference in that series. And I think the winner of that series will represent the AL in the World Series. Now, a brief tip of the cap to the Tampa Bay Rays. I guess I kind of do if I'm self-scouting here. I kind of do look past them a little bit. Now, there aren't that many Tampa Bay Rays fans. I don't say that to be a jerk. It's just the truth. So it's not like I'm being inundated like the way, even like when I don't talk about the Brewers, I have Brewers fans messaging me like, why do you never talk about Jacob Mizorowski and the Brewers? I try to do that a little bit more than I have over the course of this season. The Tampa Bay Rays are 73-46. 73-46. Just behind Milwaukee for the best record in baseball. They've won 8 straight. They've won 9 of 10. They are spectacular. And I don't believe in them. just being honest. Because when we get to the postseason, I'll take the Yankees or the Red Sox over Tampa. But I wanted to give credit where credit is due. They are playing just spectacular baseball right now and have earned every bit of being the best team in the American League. 73-46. 6 games up on the Yankees in the American League East. Tyler Morales is our executive producer while Bill Zimmerman is out on vacation. And Tyler has our trivia question of the day today on You Better You Bet. Tyler, what do we got?
Yes, earlier today you talked about Kyler Murray was named the starter over J.J. McCarthy. If the Vikings do decide to get rid of J.J. McCarthy, he'd be the 3rd first-round pick to be let go by his team before his 2nd season finished. Can you name the first 2? I'll give you a hint. It's from the last 15 years.
Before the second, it is a quarterback.
Quarterbacks, 2 first-round quarterbacks.
Trey Lance made it through 2 full years, right? So Trey Lance is not the answer. So Trey Lance
He's not the answer.
Okay. Jake Locker made it more than, he retired early, but he made it more than 2 seasons.
Yes, he
right?
did.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And this is first round picks, not second round picks.
First round picks.
Okay.
First round pick.
Manziel made it more than 2 seasons.
Yes, he did. He got cut after the 2nd season.
Okay. We'll take a break, and I will attempt to answer this question on the other side, and we'll wrap the show with all our bets for tonight, right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Today, BetMGM players will receive a WNBA Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a WNBA wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. Shout out to Pusha T. Tyler Morales' trivia question. If the Vikings trade J.J. McCarthy, 2 full seasons, right, because McCarthy was hurt his first season. Name the 2 first-round quarterbacks who didn't make it 2 full seasons with the team that drafted them. I got the question right during the break. Kind of a sad answer to the question. Well, the first one isn't sad. First was Josh Rosen, and the tie-in there, obviously, is he was replaced by Kyler Murray, who the Cardinals took first overall the year after taking Josh Rosen in the first round. And the other is the late Dwayne Haskins of the then, were they the Commanders at that point? They were still the Redskins, right? Of the Washington Redskins. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. So good trivia question from Tyler today. Thanks to our guests on today's show, Danny Parkins, Dave Damashek, and Raheem Palmer. Thanks to our crew here on You Better You Bet. Let's wrap up the show with bets, and tomorrow we will give you some bets for week 1 of the NFL preseason, and I can't wait for that. Tyler, we'll talk after the show. I want to get someone on tomorrow to talk about betting week 1 of the preseason. We'll figure out who that is. We'll bring that to you tomorrow, but for now, please, Laura, drop the dope-ass beat. So, extended myself a bit yesterday. Told you I was going to. Told you I was feeling myself a little bit. Generally doesn't mean good things are around the corner. I don't think I've learned my lesson. Now, just to be clear, I am saving my bullets, and by bullets I mean dollars, in terms of betting for football season. So these are not big bets I'm putting in. I want some action on Major League Baseball. And I do think I'm seeing the board, because even though I lost that parlay, it's hit 2 of the 3. Pretty annoying. That's, what we call that, a loser's lament. So let's give you a couple thoughts for tonight in bets in Major League Baseball. Okay, so we will begin in Detroit with Framber Valdez starting for the Tigers against Foster Griffin and the Cleveland Guardians. The Tigers are getting bet out a little bit. I actually disagree with this, even though I had the Tigers yesterday. Griffin has been great this season. Framber Valdez has not. I'll take a shot at plus money here. Small bet for me on the Cleveland Guardians. Now, plus 105 on the road at the Detroit Tigers. Bet number 1, the Cleveland Guardians. Bet number 2, the Mariners are in a really bad way right now. Like, they stink. Cal Raleigh stinks. The vibe is terrible. He's saying that they stink. Let's bet Will Warren and the Yankees minus 135 against the Seattle Mariners. So Yankees. And then I'll take the Jays to win 3 straight against Boston. Ranger Suarez, hashtag toeing the slab for the Red Sox. Jose Soriano, one of the newest Blue Jays pitching tonight for Toronto. Give me the Jays plus 105. So 3 small money bets for me. Guardians plus 105. Yankees minus 135. Toronto Blue Jays plus 105. Do with this information what you will. That does it for the wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet. I will talk to all of you tomorrow on a tremendous Sports Thursday. Until then, I'm Nick Kostos, wishing you and yours minimal sweats, winning bets, and the absolute very best of luck. Our friends, the great Chris Black and Adam Abdallah, Black and Abdallah, coming up next here on Westwood One Sports.